What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Hello, How Are You Today? The podcast where I, your host, Mitch Corbett, talks to some of the most interesting people in my life from around the world and locally, comedians, musicians, wrestlers, artists, people, just random people in general, which we'll get more into later on down the line as we continue on this podcast, because everyone has a story, and I think it's important to get those stories out there, because why not? Every conversation can be a good conversation if you are good enough at the conversation point. Anyways, this week's guest is Lou McMahon. She is a music artist from Ireland. I met her, again, like most of these interviews, while I worked on cruise ships. She's also a reporter for a local radio news station in Ireland or the UK, I think it is. And she's very lovely. She's very talented. We're going to play some music for at the end of the podcast. And we talk about her journey, or her musical journey, from, just starting out when she was very, very young to now doing music videos and actually wanting to get into producing music for films and all that sort of thing. So not stay tuned because we're gonna get right to it, but I hope you guys enjoy this conversation with Lou McMahon. Let's go talk to Lou.
Well, you look really well. Like
that's because it's the view is this point. By going lower, you're gonna see a whole round of mess down there.
Are you doing photography still, or like what's happening with the ships? Are you doing that?
Oh, it's been
a long time since you did that, isn't it?
4 years now, 3 years. Something like that.
Yeah.
I married my girlfriend at the time. You met her, Maka. So we had our anniversary yesterday, so 6 years together since meeting each other on ships.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. What else? Yeah, I'm still a video producer. I work for a community TV station around here and everything. So, and I'm doing the comedy, and I started wrestling training again and everything. So
you're doing comedy?
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Would you like to hear a joke?
Yes, do it.
All right. Do you guys know what curling is down there or no?
Do we know what?
Do you know what curling is?
Yeah. It's that thing on the ice where you move the ice around and the little ball goes around the place, but you have to stop it from... You have to try and manipulate it to move into some kind of area or something. I've seen it in the Winter Olympics. That's all I know about it.
So what's one I can tell you that's quick and easy?
This is going to be recorded footage wise. Are we good here?
You're fine. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So the one joke I always tell them is like I lost my virginity in a curling club and I tried to go hard, but all I did was hurry. And if you're a curling fan, you get around because they always yell "hurry hard" while they're
hard or hurry. Yeah, they do that thing.
Sweeping.
So are you doing a lot of gigs and things then?
Not right now. Right now, I am planning to do more gigs. So I'm actually running a show now, and we're gonna be running at a brewery in London, Ontario. So I'll be hosting and doing that sort of thing. And
oh, cool. Well done.
So like one of my things
because I remember, when I met you on the ship and things, you were doing the photography, video production, stuff. But I don't think you told me you were a comedian.
I did it before, just like willingly, and not willingly, but like kind of off and on. Now I'm kind of doing it more. I'm trying to take it a bit more seriously and get like more of a thing going with it. So
yeah, cool.
I think it would be such a blast to get so good where I can do like a half hour or an hour sort of thing and get booked on a cruise ship and then like borrow a photographer's uniform and then walk out on stage as a photographer uniform and be the comedian, be like, hey, if I can get out, you guys can too. Just see this cruise director like, oh God, don't talk about ship life. Oh, they don't need to know.
It would be funny. Would it be something you'd apply for? I was thinking of putting together a bit of a show reel to do a guest entertainer show. I don't think I'll go back as a musician. I'm kind of more focused on trying to get my stuff off of the ground here again.
Okay.
You know, the original stuff, because I find that when I'm on the ships, I'm singing every day, but I'm going nowhere.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about it. Let's start. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with the lovely Lou McMahon. Lou, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So, backstory, we met on cruise ships. You were a musician there. And we were just talking about how you don't want to go back on ships necessarily to be just a musician and play the atrium for 2 hours every night, blah, blah, same song, same people, same old people dancing slowly, pretending everything that, and how you want to do transition to being like a guest performer and have a show on the stage and everything. It's kind of, where did that mindset come from? Why do you want to do that big performance?
Well, I've always been doing that kind of performance. When I went to the ship, it was sort of more about traveling and I didn't know what to expect. So, and I just sort of settled into the role of being a musician and that kind of thing. And it was great and I really enjoyed it. But just where my music is at the moment, my original stuff and what I'm doing here at home. And, if I do go back to the ships, I'm saying if I would rather go back in that capacity in the theatre, and not because also it allows you to not be away for such a long time when you're working as a guest entertainer like that, because you do maybe 2 weeks and then you can come home again, or you're not stuck on the one ship for 4 months to 6 months. And yeah, it's just it would allow for me to come home and continue to develop what I'm already what I already have momentum for here.
Now, did working on the cruise ship, did that help or negate your creativity, having that sort of routine?
It helped, and it did a bit of both, because when you're working on the ships, you're developing your repertoire, you're singing all the time, you're playing all the time, so the practice is there, daily. And I guess you have an opportunity with that to find your voice, to find a style. But in terms of being a songwriter, doing original stuff, it probably does inhibit that a bit, because though there's a lot of people and you can sell your CDs on board, it's not the kind of audience that are going to go and download your music on iTunes and watch your YouTube videos. They're a lot older and they're very appreciative and lovely, but they want to hear songs they know as well. So
now, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Now, did you, because there's a few musicians, ones that play the atrium all the time, but then you were doing the lounge as well, right?
I did a few different places. Yeah, I did the Vista Lounge, which is like a small theater, and I would do the atrium, and then there's like various cafes, bars they were sending me around. You know yourself, you've been on the ships. There was the Bayou Cafe. Mm-hmm. I like that. Actually, all the venues on the ships are kind of cute, because there is a stage area, and I enjoyed performing for dinner guests. And in my role, I didn't really have to do the party stuff. It was all very early evening gigs, sort of, which allowed for me to play more of the type of music that I wanted to play as well, because it was sort of background, and I liked that. I liked that about the gig.
So how long were you performing before you got the gig on ships?
All my life. I mean, I could ask you, where do you want me to begin?
Well, so what was, I guess, the first moment that you kind of realized that you could make it a career?
Instinctually, since I was very small, and being the youngest of three. My older sister, they're 7 and 8 years older than me. So they were already getting into sort of learning music, singing songs and things like that when I was born. So, you know, then when I was sort of 4 or 5, I started, I suppose, copying them in some ways. And also instinct kicked in. And I knew it from then. I knew it from when I was that age that, you know, this is what I wanted my whole life. It's a part of who I am. It's part of my identity, and you know, it's just the way that I am. It's the way that I was born. I just love to sing, and I love to play music. I love to write music, various things. So I was doing it since very young age, here at home. And then I was lucky enough to be involved in growing up with so many different groups, and I come from a small village that had a really wonderful community, and there was people in the community volunteered their time to us and brought us you know, to various events and things. We were members of Tops of the Town. You're in America, so you won't
Canada,
know what
Canada,
things
not
are.
America, North America, Canada, not
North American. There's like scorn and oak competitions, which are like singing and dancing competitions in the Irish, like,
yeah,
culture and things like that. So we were brought around, performed for presidents and everything when we were teenagers, when I was a teenager. And I've always been doing it. It's a hard question to answer because it makes me go all the way back in time. Because there was never a time when I wasn't doing it.
And there's so many memories you have from doing it. Yeah. So let's kind of pluck some memories from that strand of time. What was it like? Because like learning a musical instrument is hard. Being able to write a song is extremely difficult. What was it like having written your very first song and your first time performing it? And kind of knowing that you made something and now you're giving it to the world.
Yeah. So first time writing and performing would be a different time. Yeah. When I was a teenager, I set up a girl band. I did regular performances with my cousin and some other singers and things from Limerick, and we performed my songs a good bit. That would have been like 14, 15, 16. So I was already at that stage trying to get people to sing my songs. But more meaningful, I suppose. I think it was maybe 15. I was younger, 14. I wrote one called Human. And my sister's husband, he's a musician, and he produced the track for me, and it ended up getting a bit of radio play, and I sang it live and things like that. So it was probably my first sort of commercial release. At that stage.
How cool was it to hear your song on the radio?
It was unreal when I was so young. It's like I couldn't believe it. I was probably crying and everything because I cry at the drop of a hat. But but yeah, it's hard to remember. But yeah, you feel that overwhelming sense of achievement. Like, this is my direction. This is the first step in a direction that I want to take for the rest of my life. So it was very meaningful to me. I really appreciate it. And it got a lot of spins from John Ryan on Clare FM, which is like our regional radio station. So, and they're always really good to me. So yeah.
So you're performing at a young age. You're getting some radio play. You're getting some exposure, and then so where does that decision come to take a break from that momentum and go travel on cruise ships? Or was it just the travel aspect that intrigued you to do that sort of thing?
It was travel. It was a sort of escapism. It was...
yeah, because we all know ship life isn't real life. It's true escapism there.
It's fantasy land.
What happens on ships stays on ships unless you get married to someone, and then we recount stories of ship life, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a peculiar world. I'm very delighted that I did it. I've no regrets. The traveling aspect was absolutely amazing. I sort of, it would be more of a personal story as to why I went and did that, which is sort of, I could talk to you about it, but I don't want to publish it everywhere. You know what I mean?
Okay, no worries.
But no, they
Listen, I know firsthand that like the reason I joined ships or even is because like I went through like a horrible breakup, and I just need to get the F out of town, right? You just need to get away sometimes, and ship life kind of provides that opportunity for you to do it. And that being said, I've got to meet you. I've gotten to meet so many wonderful people from my time on there. So like, as much as the way it ended badly, the positives far outweigh negatives in that sort of sense. And
yeah. How did it end badly?
I've told this story before on another podcast, but the manager and I didn't get along, and it ended with me sending an email to the head office stating that he's kind of a see you next Tuesday and blah, blah, blah. And I sent that email the day I left the ship, and then I was gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it was
was that the ship I met you on?
Which one did we meet on? My goodness.
I was there fleeting. I was only there for a few weeks. It was.
But didn't you come back? I thought we did one or two together.
No, it was just that one.
Just the one. It was the Regal, the Royal, the Ruby, or the Caribbean.
It could have been the Caribbean.
Yeah, probably. That was my last one. Yeah, that was the Panama Canal of hell.
Yeah, that's where I met you. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we're friends, because like every day we come into the bar and be like, this fucking run. I swear to God, like the same. This Panama Canal is killing us slowly.
You know, the funny thing about the Panama Canal is you're going through it once and you're like, oh my God, wow, this is amazing. You're going back through it and you're like, oh my God, this is just, get me out of here. It's Groundhog Day.
And then you do it for like,
once is enough.
Then you do it 6 months nonstop and you're like, oh my God. Like, I think we got to go do a Caribbean run every 4 or 6 weeks, and it was like I didn't even want to work that week because the Panama Canal was so draining.
Yeah.
So I want to ask
you, as a video producer, you get off the ship.
Yeah, but like when you do the same run for 6 months, you do all the tours within the first like 2 or 3 months, and then like the next 3 months is just spinning like a hamster on a wheel, just like spinning. Like you're not going anywhere, not doing anything different, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And which is kind of like reference to you, like you're probably the same thing. If you're doing like a 4-month contract, the first time performing on the ship, oh yay, so cool. And then like you're doing the same songs, I imagine. It's routine. All the people kind of look the same. Jerry, no, I'm Job. I was like, no, you mixed up names or anything.
You get tired, and your energy for live performance and things like that, it wanes a bit. Like when I come home, I think like even throughout the whole COVID, over the past year or so of not being on a ship, it's taken me that amount of time to find energy for performing. And I tried, I pushed myself and I pressured myself, but I just had not very many feelings inside. I'm just literally getting that back now, and it's a lovely feeling, and I don't want to lose that again.
Are there what kind of like, are you doing anything different to kind of get that feeling back? Or do you just have to sit yourself down and kind of like just do it?
I find that mentally if I'm in any way anxious or feeling low or something like that, my whole world falls apart, and the music with it. So I took a huge sort of like a couple of weeks ago. I got up one morning and I said, you know what, you have to work on your mind, because ultimately your mind is what you use to write. It's what you use to sing. It's what, it's what you use to live your life and get through your day. So I started to change my life. I started to improve my mental well-being, and my music started coming back to me. And hence the Carlsberg 00. I haven't drank alcohol in a while either, because I just said, I just want to change this. I just want to get better now. And what motivates me always to get better is related to music. If I want that back, it's what I hold on to every time.
So I think that's a good thing to talk about, is like the mental health aspect of like being an artist. I'm kind of slowly realizing that I'm starting to take comedy a bit more seriously, doing this podcast. Like a prime example was like I was asked to work at like an 8:30 a.m. morning shift, but like that would require me to wake up at 5:30, and I'm just like, no, I can't. That's not good for my overall mental health or physical well-being. We're not going to do that sort of thing.
So
what are the
you live a good bit away from
work? Yeah. From where I live to where I work is about an hour and 10-minute drive.
Yeah, that's every day, twice.
Yeah, 5 days a week sort of thing. So for me personally, like I've just time, like this podcast is helping me mentally, and like getting to reconnect with you and getting to reconnect with a few people from my ship life and like other creative arts sort of thing. What are some of the steps that you take for your mental health? Are you doing therapy? Because that's something I'm starting to consider maybe doing.
Okay. I have been through therapy. I was doing therapy only up until a few weeks ago. During the winter, I just bombed. My anxiety went through the roof, and I was feeling extremely depressed. And I called a service because it was really, really, really getting the better of me. So I called Pieta House, who were amazing, and they gave me like a whole few weeks of therapy sessions and helped me out with it and helped me through it. I really found then that, and what I was saying to them is, I also, being at home in the winter time, here the weather gets really nasty. Like the clouds are grey and black and they hang down over you, and it pisses rain, or it could be windy.
It doesn't even snow, it just rain. It rains in the winter, that's awful.
It's dark and gloomy, and I just, that was really, really, really affecting me. And I realized that I have this seasonal affective disorder, and there I was, and I was going through all of this, and I was trying to sing songs online every time, and it was all, I was dragging myself around. Like literally my energy was gone out through my feet. It was like I was literally dragging myself from one thing to the other, and my mind was just in a horrible place, so yeah, therapy helps. I think a lot of the thing with therapy is that you have to be willing to let the therapist help you through whatever you're going through.
How difficult is it to let your guard down and let that happen, though? I mean, really.
In therapy, it's really hard. It's really hard. I don't think I have gone through therapy in the right ways for that reason, because I don't talk about most of the stuff that's bothering me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And then like that's like
you get this like you get this shot
But
into
like
the
you and
world.
I both have that unique opportunity. Like we're like we keep things in, but like as a performer, you could probably write a song and get those feelings out. As a comedian, I could probably make a joke about my issues and like make it funny and like, oh, everyone laugh, like they're doing fine. It's like, no, this is serious. We're just making you guys feel.
Yeah, yeah, you can, and it's always nice when that works. I think it's doubly worse that if that's your vice and your way of expressing that and getting it out of you, if that's not working in you, then you can't express it that way either. If that's what you're used to, and that's been my experience, is that every time I went to write at the page, this overwhelming fear would happen whereby I would just not be able to write because I'd be afraid of what I would write down. And that's something that I've been experiencing really strongly. And I must say, and during the lockdowns, I took a different approach to writing. It all became more instrumental. And I love to work with MIDI softwares and things like that. And I took a course, and the course was amazing. It really, really helped me a lot. It was music production for video games, and met loads of really great people on the course who were in the same situation as me, as musicians, composers, and yeah, it got me writing again, got me writing well again. I needed to find a new voice when I couldn't express it with words, you know. And I've loads of instrumental stuff now, and I sent it off to opportunities, and I heard back from classical music record labels and things who were really interested in publishing them. And
Dude, that's wonderful. Congratulations.
yeah,
That's awesome. That's really cool.
yeah, so and I'm like, I'm a classical musician.
Well, I mean, like, so like I've listened to your music and it's not what I usually listen to, but I can tell it's good. It's very talented. It's very it sounds ethereal is the word I wanted to describe it as. It comes from like the heart, the soul, and everything. And like, yeah. What was it? Pockets of Change came out a few weeks now. We've been trying to plan this interview for a while. Like with the therapy and now with doing instrumental stuff, like how much has like with this lockdown, it seems like everything's kind of flipped on a switch for you. And like kind of like it started shitty and now it's kind of flipped on its end where it's coming better now.
It's coming back, yeah.
Yeah. So are you how excited are you to see where this journey takes you now?
I step by step. I have when I was younger, I had a tendency to look 10 years ahead, and you know, when things didn't work out, you know, step by step into 10 years ahead, it caused other emotional problems and things like that. So no, one step at a time. Right now I'm writing. I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about the instrumental work that I'm doing, and the synchronization of film with music. I've met a lot of wonderful musicians. I've collaborated with some wonderful musicians from all around the world. And I'm really excited about all of that. That's all happening right now in the moment. And whatever happens from here, all I know is that I'm working hard. I'm going to keep releasing music. I'm going to keep writing music. And, you know, I do have a dream. I'm going to try and make it work. But I have to learn how to be happy with what I have now in the moment as well.
What is your dream? Do you want to tell us here? Do you want to tell us what your end goal would potentially be? Knowing that, you know, it might change.
Well, I want to score films.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And as I go along the way, I do want to release instrumental albums on classical music record labels. I have already, I sent off, I composed a piece called Butterfly Wars for string quartet, and I sent it off to a classical music record label over in the United States in Northampton. And they're really interested in working with me on that style of an album and stuff. So I'm like, that's wonderful. That's already something that's come back that's positive. I want to release songs. I want to write theme songs. I just want to do all that's within me and that I'm capable of.
With your background in music and now having like gone to therapy, is like musical therapy something you'd want to get invested in as well?
No, never. No, I don't mean that bad way. I would love if what I do write and if with the film score and whatever, if people found that therapeutic and they found something in it that was helpful or useful, I would be so thrilled. That would be really it would mean so much to me that something that I have produced is helping somebody. But I'm not into music therapy. I'm not into, I don't have the personality for it. I kind of like just being left alone. I like my little room here. It's where I spend most of my time. I care, but I don't know. I don't think I would have the personality for music therapy.
But in the sense, like what you're doing is therapy for yourself. Music can be therapy for people that find it, sort of thing. So
yeah,
it was just we were talking about it. That
it's sort of there, but I'm not actively trying to do it.
Yeah. So you mentioned the pandemic and how like it was hard, and that at the same time you were still doing like live shows on Facebook. What was that experience like?
It was odd. You go into COVID. It was completely unprecedented. That lovely word that we completely overused in the media. It was completely unprecedented. So when you're going into it as a musician, songwriter, creative, whatever you do, and you want to perform, you're not going to have the equipment for that, are you? Unless you're someone like you, where you're a video producer already. So this
is a webcam. It's nothing impressive. Don't worry.
I didn't have any. I just literally put my phone on a thing and off I went sang. I didn't even set up my mic or anything most of the time. I found that really stressful. There were a few times where I was going to set up a mic and try and run it through software on the computer with the reverbs and everything on it, so that what's broadcasts is going through the mic into the computer rather than any amplification in the room, if you get me.
Yeah.
And I just found that so stressful.
A pain in the ass, wasn't it? Just such a pain in the ass.
I started doing it and I just went, I can't endure this. I'm withered already. By the time you have that set up, you're in such a shitty mood that you don't want to sing nothing. I swear to God, I was like throwing things all over the room. And
I've had so many times in my life where like I do something and then I just look at it like this and I'm like, this is a fucking waste of time. Like, geez, what the hell did I just do that for?
That's exactly how I felt. I was like, this is no, you need help for these kinds of things.
Yeah, no, and especially if you're like just stuck inside the entire time, it's just, I don't even know how to describe. Like, I think everyone now understands like being stuck and being lost.
Yeah,
like everyone beforehand probably like so many, but this is the first time in like as a whole society where we all just like, oh fuck, we're literally all in the same boat, and
yeah.
People have taken different messages from it, inspirations, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Most for the better, some not so much, unfortunately. Um, but you're a very talented musician. You've got this worldwide experience in traveling and performing for various audiences. I did some research on you. You're also a culture reporter for Culture File.
That's right.
So tell me, reporter Debonair.
I'm usually in your seat.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and the more I sit in this seat, the more realizing how terrifying I must be. You know,
Well,
not saying that you're terrifying, but you know, you're the one firing the questions, and you're trying to spin the conversations so that it goes in the direction of, you know, what you want them to, direction where you want them to go in.
Well, actually, I want to ask you that. So, like, I'm not trying to spin anything. I'm just trying to. Like, this is supposed to be a conversation. I'm just curious because I'm dumb as shit. But as a reporter, you kind of had to come in with the stories from an angle. So, like, what is Culture File, and what kind of reporting do you do for them?
Culture File is a weekly show. It's short. It's about 7 minutes long, 7 to 8, and it airs on RTE Lyric FM. I almost said Limerick FM. RTE Lyric FM, and that's our national classical music broadcaster. So it's a show that sort of, it's a culture show, and it talks about and interviews musicians, artists from all backgrounds, all genres. So it can be about food, it can be about technology, it can be about music, it can be about interior design, it can be about, you know, absolutely any art form there is. And yeah, we interview people, and we edit shows, and we edit music and things into it.
So I don't know if this is the same with you, but in talking to you, who has a musical background, and talking to wrestlers who I've interviewed before, or in talking to other artists, it helps me with my creative side. Is that fair to say with you?
Well, you most certainly don't feel alone. But it does help, especially when you're getting real stories. You know, somebody's true to life story and journey with music, not all the achievements and things like that where you're going, oh my God, that person has 1,000,001 achievements. How do I do that? You don't know how, because they haven't told you how. But if you're getting a person's genuine and real story, you know, music, the ups and downs, then that certainly, I find, is a help, because you realize that, oh, I'm not the only one who's had that down, or I'm not the only one who's had that up. And that's good to know, because when you're working as an artist, you're isolated in some ways, because you're working alone, especially as a solo artist like yourself. You're solo as well. So I do find it's helpful to belong to a community.
Have you yeah, you don't need to spill any names, but have you had the chance to like meet someone where you're just like, this is the most boring person I've ever talked to?
Probably a million, probably a lot of, yeah. Oh, you mean though, as a reporter through Culture?
Yeah.
I actually haven't had that experience, you know, through work. Most of the people are really good to talk, like a hell of a lot better talking than I am. You know, but no, I haven't had that experience. Everyone's been pretty great, actually.
Oh, you're so lucky.
Maybe I am. Maybe I
you're
am
so lucky.
Maybe I
oh
am.
my God.
Why? Tell me of your experiences in this area.
So one time I worked at the Score. It was a sports network in Toronto, right? And I had to what's the word, where you write down, like, you kind of like type out the interview sort of thing. So I was typing out this interview of this guy, and like it was just the answers were so nonsensical or like short. and I was just like, I was interning at this point, right? And I told the producer, I'm like, I don't think you're going to be able to use this at all. And and they're like, no, we have to use it. We spent time and everything. And then like later on, like probably like a week later, I overheard them. I don't think we can use any of this because they actually listened to it.
And you were interning and you knew.
Yeah. So like, it's like, I'm so glad that now I'm old enough to be able to say what I think because I have that experience. And like, it's just, you realize that I'm at the point where like, I know that my level of professionalism should be warranted in terms of like my background, essentially. You mentioned how like you want to have a conversation with people and it's not necessarily about their awards or anything like that, right? But at the same time, you won a Communicators Awards with Shai Razo for Bridge Over Troubled Water. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was you working together with other artists from around the world, sort of thing. Please enlighten me on that experience. That sounds really cool.
It is really cool. It was amazing and a real privilege for me as well because I was in the mix there with a lot of artists who are doing exceptionally well in the area of film and television. And, you know, being a person who wants to really explore that genre, it really meant a lot to me to be involved. And they're all lovely as well. So yeah, I did the production and arrangement of A Wonderful World and Bridge Over Troubled Water. And it was beautiful, stunning, and everyone took a part. There were musicians and singers. Everyone took a line or two. It was like full orchestra. And it was released, yeah, it got a bit of media reaction as well. It was on CBS. It was on a bit here in Ireland. I sent it out to everyone. Yeah, it was just, I mean, Shai is an amazing arranger and producer and composer, and he's doing a lot of work on film and TV projects over in Los Angeles, Santa Clarita, I think he's based. So yeah, other than, you know, it just came at the right time as well, at the beginning of the COVID lockdowns, where, you know, it was a meaningful message as well. It was for the film and TV fund. It was a fundraiser collaboration video, and yeah, it gave me a boost of my confidence to be involved in it, and I needed that at that point because I was feeling a bit down on myself or whatever. So yeah, it was lovely. It was really lovely.
So is it just recently that you've started working with other people with music, or is that something you did? Because like you mentioned before, like you were working with your brother and sister, then you kind of went solo into the ship thing, and now it seems like you're working on your own stuff, but you're also become more of a collaborator.
No, actually, so we'll go like Zoom, teen years, whatever, that whole period. I did loads of collaborative work, like 18 to 20 to now. I was working with Terry Woods, and he's a member of the Pogues. Do you know who the Pogues are? I think they're famous in some parts of America. I don't know.
So like when you say Pogues, I think of the old game Pog.
Oh, Pog.
Slammers and everything.
That's so funny.
But
that's so funny, yeah, because I had that when I was small as well. The Pogs.
What was it? Like slam it, boom! You just whip it so hard on the ground, it comes up, almost hits a kid in the face. You're like, oh god, no! And then it's banned from recess for some reason. I don't know why. So the Pogues, it was a stupid game. It's weird that like that hasn't made a trend back, unlike Pokemon hasn't made the trend back, because I would totally slam some kids. Wait, no, I would.
Pokemon hasn't. I thought Pokemon was just always there. No,
there was a time where like the card, it kind of like went on down, and now it's back up because I guess the cards are worth something now, unlike Pogs. But I think Pogs don't have that value because we would wreck the shit out of those things. There's no value in those things.
I'm sorry to interrupt. This is a live recording.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Who is it?
Sorry.
Is that your mom or?
Yeah.
Hi, Mama.
She's gone down now. Sorry for interrupting the recording.
No worries. So you were mentioning how you were collaborating when you were younger, and you've always kind of been collaborating, and you mentioned the Pogues. So yeah, tell me a little about them, because I don't know them that well. I think I've heard of them in passing, but
are huge Irish Celtic punk band, I suppose. They did a lot of Irish folk songs in the style of Celtic punk, and you'd see bands like the Dropkick Murphys, you might know them. The Flogging Mollies,
I love Flogging Molly. I've seen them three times in concert. Three times.
Yeah, so they would be hugely inspired by the Pogues. The Pogues were the first to do that.
Oh.
And yeah, they're huge. And I don't know if you've heard of Shane McGowan. He's the front man with the Pogues, so he'd be.
I have heard of him actually. Yeah.
Yeah, or like the Fairy Tale of New York. It's a Christmas song. It's a Christmas #1 every year.
Okay.
But maybe not where you are. It does hit certain parts of the world.
Well, I mean, I think that's the that's the cool thing about having this experience on ships and like talking to you is like when you go and do meet other people from like other backgrounds and culture, you realize how like I grew up in North American culture, American TV, Canadian stuff, where there are people that like yourself probably have no idea of what I grew up with,
right?
sort of thing, and vice versa. And
that was the amazing thing about the ships, is meeting so many people from different cultural backgrounds. You know, it really is like it's like and then when you go on the ship, it's like a culture unto itself. We're all from all different parts of the world, but we're all in a small confined space together, and it's like a microcosm of madness.
That's a very adept description of it. Yes. Microcosm of madness.
But then
great name for an album, by the way. Keep that in mind.
We all seem to bring a bit, and then everybody ends up a bit of everything. I'm walking down the M1 saying ciao, ciao, and I'm like, I'm not Italian. Why am I saying ciao to everyone?
So that's so cool. Yeah, no, I'll have to check them out.
The Pogues, yeah. No, they're amazing. So I worked with Terry, who's a member of that band. So he was my first major collaboration. So all those recordings, even the Pockets of Change that you were talking about earlier, Terry would have produced that and played on that, and we still work together. So there's always been collaboration in my life.
How important is it to have someone of that stature help you with your career?
It's not vitally. I think nowadays it's not vitally important, because I have to be careful how I say things. It's usually important to me, and it's meant a lot to me.
Well, that's why I want to get your feel. I was saying for you personally, how.
When I was at that period, I suppose that when I first met Terry, the industry was different, and it was very much the type of thing where you'd have to make your demos and send it to record labels and things like that. You know, the internet was there, but we weren't using it in the same way that we use it now. So there's no live online shows and, you know, the DIY thing that musicians can do now to go viral or whatever and build their careers. So back then it would have been about trying to get signed to a record label, you know. And I learned a lot from Terry, who had like how many years, maybe 40, like at that point 40 years experience as a musician, a recording artist, traveling the world, touring, being member of a band that are selling hugely internationally, like they're one of Ireland's biggest exports. So of course, working with him, I learned a lot about the music business, about the industry that I was getting into, because I was taking my first step really at that point, and how to navigate it, and also how to produce a record. you know, how to write a song, but then take it to the next level, where it's a commercial song, it's ready for release, and the sound qualities and things of it. So I was learning all that as I went along from that collaboration. You know,
you must have heard some really epic stories from him, I imagine.
I did, but I'm not going to, I can't.
No, we're not here to expose the business or anyone in particular, but I mean, just knowing like the music industry, and you know, you said Irish punk. I mean, like that's probably got to be a real interesting scene back in the day, and a lot of stuff went on.
They have their own brand of whiskey. Enough said.
Really? I do miss Irish whiskey, and there's some really, you know, though I gotta say, I think I'm more a fan of like Scottish whiskey as much as I do like Irish whiskeys. I mean, I think it was Glengoyne in the Orkney Islands. That stuff was delicious.
Is it oaky or what is it about? Like?
Yeah, oaky. I like a good oak whiskey.
Okay.
Hey, Lily.
I don't drink enough whiskey to know, you know, to be able to say I like this one versus that one or whatever. I've started to become a connoisseur of 0.0 beers, which is very unclassy. I must say.
Very rock star of you there. So, well, like when I was on the ships, I would always try and do the whiskey tour, so I get like a little taste here and there. And so that's where I have like a little bit of nothing professional or anything, but just like a little, I like taste it. And then the Glengarry or Glengoyne in the Orkney Islands is the one that I was like, this is actually really tasty, just on its own sort of thing, which really
warms the belly.
Yeah, and so we want to point out that you have your dog Lily with you now in your arms, and she seems to be a very big part of your life.
Yes.
Does she like your music?
I think so. She's always here listening. Like she shivers sometimes because I always usually do use my headphones when I'm composing music with MIDI, but I use like some samples that are like huge earthquake sounding drums and things like that, and I have a full volume up in my ears. I don't know how I'm not blowing the head off myself, but you see the dog in the background going like this, so I know, I'll turn that one down. Has she ever tried to like do guest lyrics on a song or anything? You're like, Lily, come on, like this is my time, not yours. I think if she could talk, she probably would try, because she's kind of demanding. As Jack Russells are, it's kind of their breed to be sort of, I'm here now, and I'm the most important creature in the room. But she is the most important creature in the room to me anyway as well. But she's decided now that she wants to go out. That's why I picked her up, because she was at the door.
I could hear her scratch that.
Yeah. She had 2 strokes during the COVID.
Oh no.
Lockdowns. The first one, I nearly lost my life because I wasn't expecting it, and I didn't know what would happen. And we had taken her to an emergency vet. I mean, she was in an awful state. She couldn't walk or anything. It wasn't looking good. And the emergency vet said, it's not looking good. And then she recovered like a miracle. She was running around and everything. She's on medication permanently for congestive heart failure, and a few other bits now. But just only like over a week ago, she had another stroke. It was over 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks ago, she had another stroke. The walk was gone again. Signs on yesterday, she's all back. Her head was all tilted to one side as well, and that just came back all of a sudden too. So we're getting used to her having strokes now.
That's not a good thing.
No.
Lily, stop. Behave yourself. Go take an exercise. Go for a walk. Get some exercise. Fix your heart.
I know she's slowed up. She's 15. But the vet is currently very happy with her. We won't, if it comes to the point whereby she's in pain or anything, there won't be any suffering.
I think that's the hardest thing about like being a pet owner and loving your animals so much, because like I've like ever since I was young, it's lost quite a few pets, but like never, it's always been like they're old and it's their time sort of thing, thankfully.
Yeah.
So we can always hope that we can only hope that that's like we get to that point where it's like, you know, they give us that look where it's like, it's okay. Sort of thing.
Yeah. Because you feel
it was strange when so I'll tell you this story, and this is the story of my background. So like I had a cat when I was younger. Her name was Kitty Mickey. Mickey. And so she got very old and we had to put her down. So I have her in my arms as she's getting the needle and everything. And I'm bawling my eyes out and crying. And my dad says, "Oh, it's just a cat."
Okay. Oh no, this is the worst thing you could say.
Well, he didn't know. He's not very good, or he wasn't very good with the whole emotional thing and everything, right? And so my mom really let him have it that night, or so I've been told. And then my dad had a dog named Charlie, and he had to put Charlie down. And my mom was telling me the story of how she walked down to the basement and he was bawling. He's like, "I don't know why I'm crying. It's just a fucking dog." And I'm like, should I just message him and tell him that it's just a... But that would have been a real dick move on my part. So I didn't, but I wanted it. I wanted that sweet revenge just a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's very hard especially if you're, you know, attached and you've experienced a lot with your pet or whatever, you know, it's very hard to say goodbye.
Yeah. Speaking of not goodbyes, because they're not in it yet. I wanted to talk to you about a mutual friend that we have in PA, Paul Andre 14.
Yeah.
And you did a music video with him, and I met him a long time ago on my first contract. And he was friends with Nicole Fox, who was my manager at the time, and he was a dancer at the time. Did you meet him while he's dancing, and then he produced a music video for you, or was he producing?
He was producing when I met him.
Really? I had no idea he became a video producer.
He was producing videos on the ships. I think he just felt like the dancing gig he was too old for it. So he transitioned. And yeah, it was in Alaska that I met him. What are the two long ships for going through the canals? What are they called again?
Is it the Golden and the Caribbean?
No, they're the smaller ones. Again, smaller than those ones.
Drive.
Coral.
Wow. What?
The Coral and the Coral. The Coral and the ship.
The Crown, maybe?
It wasn't the Crown, no. It was the sister ship of the Coral that I met him anyway.
Okay. So how do you guys link up and decide to make a music video together?
It was his fault. I did this regular gig that was horrible. I mean, we were pulled into Alaska and the sail away from Juneau. It's very beautiful. You have the mountains, the snow-capped mountains, and you're going up through the pass and all. It was stunning. So they wanted to really mark that and celebrate it. So they had me out on the open deck in the evening. I was practically in mittens. I was playing my guitar and singing a song like with hat and scarf and everything. And it was called the Midnight Something Gig. And they'd feature it and people would come up and see it. And all the people would be in their like woolly jumpers, pants, blankets, things, and they're all like shivering listening to me sing. So they had to cut it because I kept on getting infections. I kept getting sick because of that gig. But the video producers regularly filmed that performance because it was supposed to be like this special thing of sailing through the past.
Yeah, sail away. Such a lovely thing to do.
The sail away thing. So Paul was filming that, and I would sing my own original songs at that. And he said, "That song is really cool, The River, that's one of your own. Can we make a music video for it?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Well, no, I hesitated, but yeah, then we went and did it. It was good fun. It was nice.
No, I watched the music video. It looked pretty good. For what you know, you're with what you have, sort of thing. But then I watched the documentary thing for a little bit.
What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at the fact that Paul put himself in the documentary.
That was my idea. I wanted him in the documentary.
Okay.
No, I just felt like it was such a big part.
I thought for sure it was like a setup where it's like, all right, well, here are the questions you can ask me, Lou, and I'm just going to pretend like.
Wasn't that way? It might have been that way a little bit because the both of us didn't really know what we were doing.
And I'm not here to tell you that I could tell, but
really tell.
Well, I got the experience, right? It's one of those things. I thought it was funny because like
that way, but we were trying to figure out, how and where we do it, and I would have to hold the camera when he was on camera and things like that. So yeah.
It's funny to me because I know Paul as a dancer. I know him personally, and he just has so much personality that for me to like see him put himself on camera on a project he's doing, like I'm like, oh, that makes sense because he is like a center of attention kind of guy.
Yeah. He's very handsome, and I was just like, can you just be on the camera and I'll be over here somewhere.
So like, I feel like he was fairly new when he did the music video River or A River. How long was that process? Because did you record that over a few port days or was it one day shooting?
It was one day shooting in Juneau. No, where was it? Skagway. It was one day shooting in Skagway. And it was one day shooting in Ketchikan for the documentary. There was Skagway, Juneau. I think we did something in Ketchikan as well for the music video. And then Paul took shots as he went along in ports as well in different parts of Alaska, wherever we were. So, and they were in there as well, like the eagle and the mountains and things like that. Yeah. So
did you enjoy that experience? Were you happy with the final product? Because it does actually look pretty good.
And actually, I'm not the type of person who enjoys being filmed and things like that. It helped me to settle into it. I'm more comfortable with it now, but I wasn't then. But Paul just has such a nice personality. And he was really kind about stuff. And
he's too happy, isn't he? He's too outgoing, I would say. He's too much of a ball of energy. And it's infectious to other people, and I don't like that about him. And I don't like it.
It's like we're talking about two different people because I kind of find him reserved. Yeah.
Maybe it was the relationship he had with Nicole, but he was he was one of the more energetic, like outgoing people I met on my first contract.
Well, he's friendly, like that's for sure. But yeah.
And you know what? To be fair, it could have been the fact that he was working as a dancer, so they weren't working that much, so he had the energy. As a video producer, he's probably working more. He's like, oh, so tired all the time.
Yeah, that's probably the difference. Yeah, because he's putting a lot of work into his productions and things.
Yeah, the moral of this is that dancers are lazy on ships.
The dancers do fuck off.
They do.
My language, no, they do. They do their dancing and they train for that, and they're very.
And you know what? I always get mad at them because there was one dancer who's like, I don't know why people are mad at me. I signed my contract. It's the same as you signed your contract. And it's like, okay, yeah, agreed. But, maybe you should show some appreciation to the amount of work that you do and the amount of work that they do is a totally different idea. And then I can't believe.
I feel in the same boat because I regularly, like, people would say that to me as well. I'd be moaning over something and they'd be like, you worked for an hour today. And I'm like, yeah, fair enough, fair point. But that's the nature of the gig. And in reality, I can't work for longer than an hour because I lose my voice.
Yeah.
There's things like that.
So let's kind of wrap this up now. We got to talk a little bit of ships. We got to talk about your career a little bit. What do you have going on now, project-wise? And is there anything on the horizon that you're really looking forward to?
I've applied for a few things, and it would be great if some of those came back. But what I'm really looking forward to is just to continue developing my compositions and things like that. That's going really well for me at the moment. And yeah, just keep singing. I'm gonna do some songs online again in the coming weeks. I've prepared a couple of things. So I'm just gonna continue on the way I am now.
And so with that, so where can people watch these things that you perform on?
Oh, okay. So it was all my social media channels. So I just got myself set up with some different things like Linktree. On Wednesday, was it Wednesday? I'm getting my vaccination. I'm
number one or number two?
Number one, and maybe I'll get to travel at some point. I don't know. Yeah, on Thursday I have an interview coming up with a wonderful composer called Dominic Murcott, and that's for Culture 5. I'm excited about that. And that's going to be over Zoom because he's based in London. So yeah, just going to release some videos. Going to do that. If the stuff I applied for comes back, great. If it doesn't matter much otherwise. Just continue where I'm at.
And what are all your social medias so people can find your stuff?
Yeah, so if you just put Lou McMahon, LOUMCMAHON, Lou McMahon into anything like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, my stuff will come up then. Should do anyway.
Excellent. Can you put some more stuff on Spotify? Because that's why I used to listen, and I only saw the one song.
Yeah, I had sort of, there was, yes, I will. There was, at the beginning of this COVID lockdown, I started to release older material, and I made a lot of mistakes in those releases, and then I just sort of, okay, what happened with Spotify? I was using a distributor called TuneCore, and they released my music as traditional Irish, and it's not.
No, it's not at all.
It couldn't be changed back. So it was going into all the wrong places, and I just and also I made balls of some of my releases. So yeah, going forward, the next ones, they'll be on Spotify. There'll be a different distributor, and it'll be done a bit better. I think I am on a few playlists already. There was another, that TuneCore distributor as well. They, I wanted it to switch over. And so I stopped their annual fee because I was going to switch over something else. And then when that stopped, everything came down as well. So all my stuff came down off Spotify. It was just a disaster of a distributor, to be honest. Yeah.
That's a shame to hear.
Yeah.
Because I want to listen to it, but I don't have access to it.
I know. I gotta sort that out. I'm gonna sort that out. I know that it's a mess. It's not something that I'm unaware of. Okay. I'm gonna try and going forward fix that. Yeah.
Well, Lou, it's been an absolute pleasure to see you again. You look lovely as always.
You look fabulous as well. I like the glasses.
Thank you. They're not seeing eyeglasses. They're just for they're blue screen glasses, so I don't get headaches watching the computer screen or anything. Oh, I've noticed I'm getting some major headaches just from work and everything. So, and they do they're starting to grow on me. Actually, I do look a bit like Clark Kent. So I'm not too mad at that.
You just need a cape now.
yeah. Save that for the bedroom talk. I was like, wait, if I got an idea.
To go in and spin in.
Yeah. Zoom, zoom, zoom. So your music will be available shortly in the future. Lou McMahon, all across the social medias and everything. Thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast today.
Thank you
please let your dog out so she can be free.
Yeah, she obviously needs to wee or something.
All right. Thank you again, okay?
Thank you, Mitch.
I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Lou McMahon. As I said before, she's a lovely conversationalist. She's a great musician too. I really, it's not usually my style of music, what she does, but I do actually enjoy her music quite a bit. So that's why I wanted to get her on the podcast. Speaking of music, you can find her on all her social medias, which will be available in the bio. And then we're going to go to her newest music video to end this podcast. It's called Pockets of Change. So I hope you guys enjoy that music video. Again, check out Lou McMahon on wherever you can find music. I think she's got stuff everywhere. Otherwise, check her out on her Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff, and enjoy this musical and enjoy this music video from Lou McMahon. Cheers.
Mind mulled over, cigarette